What's up guys, my name is Dakota, and welcome back to another YouTube video on the Frostline YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And let's get right into this. So this is going to be a little more on our education segment, instead of, taking the time to create a problem and repair it, because I really can't muster up any ideas at this moment in time onto what we can repair or, break and then teach you guys how to repair. We are going to be going over we're going to be reacting to a YouTuber who also, I believe he's actually a technician too, who also repairs and fixes computers. And in this series, he actually fixes them for free, as long as he can use it for content, if you know what I mean. And so that, I really like that. And I like Greg Salazar's, this is the YouTuber, Greg Salazar's diagnostic process. He really gets in the root cause and the understanding the problem child's leading up to the problem. His YouTube channel will be in the description below if you want to go check that out firsthand. But we're going to be reacting to this and going over, stopping here and there, going over the different possibilities of this issue. So starting with this, it already looks like, so he's saying he's getting, everything was working fine one day, and then the next I received the blue screen of death with the stop code of critical process died. That typically means a critical process failed to execute. Go into your event viewer within your command prompt or your run, and it'll bring up a event viewer that shows you all the processes that failed to run, that were critically ran, just many different ones. And typically it's, it'll tell you exactly what's wrong with it. Now, if you can't get into Windows, well, we're going to see what he does.
Of critical process died. Have done what I can to reboot and bring it back, but to no avail. Tried check disk and command prompt, including trying to fix it from there, but nothing. After going through those processes, now monitor is not picking up DisplayPort or HDMI port to display anything. This here is that viewer's broken gaming PC, and in this video, we're gonna try to fix it for free. Now, at first glance, this is a really great machine. He's got a Ryzen 9 5900X in here with an X570 motherboard, of course, that beefy EVGA RTX 3090 graphics card. He has 32 gigs of DDR4 in here, as well as a ton of Corsair components, including a 5000D case. And I'll tell ya, it is a real shame that something this powerful is already having a critical process error. I mean, let's be honest.
I just want to throw it out there. I hope he's not the only one doing this. I hope that just for video purposes, he's propping the GPU up with that box. But that's how it naturally sits. It could be a GPU issue, event pin causing a process error.
Honest, critical process died is oddly not specific. It's not even remotely specific. It doesn't tell us anything in particular about why the rig is not functioning the way it was intended. And that could mean that we have a software problem. It could mean we have maybe one or multiple hardware problems. So maybe the CPU's dead, the graphics card's dead, and one or two sticks of RAM are dead. You just never know. So it kind of helps to have a BSOD like that, but at the same time, it doesn't, because what died? That's what I'm really trying to find out here. But that said, it hasn't by the end of it. Are you ready? Stay with me.
He's about to give an ad, so I gotta...
Be sure to fix or flop if you're new and you have a broken system, or maybe a friend does, or a family member, and you'd like a chance to have it fixed for free. In this playlist, you can submit a form linked in this video's description. For this system, I do want to point out something that is fairly obvious right off the rip. There is a box holding up the RTX 3090 in here.
Okay.
And that was at the owner's discretion. He decided that the card was sagging a bit too much, and the closest thing he could find to keeping it upright and flat was an Xbox adapter. It's like a charger box or something like that. But it works. I mean, it's pretty stable, but I want to address this later in the video. I'm gonna give him a much more discreet bracket to keep this graphics card upright. This is a very expensive EVGA 3090 again. It does tend to...
The fact that EVGA doesn't even make graphics cards anymore, that's a relic right there.
The first thing I wanna do is visually inspect the system before we power it on. I don't think that the symptoms described have anything to do with the power delivery of this system, but I wanna make sure that all of our vital cables are connected. We learned our lesson last time, just to avoid any potential potential catastrophe. We're going to check to make sure all the PCIe cables, the 8-pin EPS, a 24-pin, all of that is connected properly and that the proper cables are being used. We'll also check the power supply side of things. So you can see here, all of these cables are slotted in correctly. Same goes for CPU power up top. This extra 4-pin is not accepted by the motherboard. That 24-pin also looks good. And on this side, it is a bit messy. The owner was swapping things out himself before he dropped it off with us, but I have confirmed that all of the modular cables running into the power supply are also fully inserted. I've got my portable monitor here because the owner says that the system should power on, but it just won't send a picture to a monitor. I want to confirm that, make sure that we are on the same page with the owner. We've got power on at the rear. Let's try powering on up front. All right, there we go right away. Looks like the system does fire up. We have some issues with the LEDs and the fans. That's a bit odd. Oh, and we do get a picture.
Oh, it goes to the blue screen of death.
Okay, that lasted like 3 seconds. And it does say critical process died again. Wow, this is like one of the few times we can actually replicate
So it could be a failed boot up process, I feel like.
Within a matter of seconds. Okay, so it did just take a little while for the Corsair IQ to kick in and for all of the LEDs and the fans to turn on. There is one out of sync fan on the bottom near the front of the case. Yeah, see, it's throwing us into recovery now. I wonder if...
See, this could easily be a small fix too, like a pretty small fix, just a reinstallation of Windows. If it's going straight into recovery, that could mean a corrupt file within the Windows directory, causing it to fail a critical process by a corrupted file in the Windows directory. That would be like the least case scenario right here. Like, oh, just plug in a USB, back up the files that are like the critical files. If you do want to clone the drives, like if you have extra SSDs, but if you really don't care and you just want to start clean, an easy Windows 10 reinstall could easily possibly fix this, especially if you can boot up into BIOS and still get a display.
If that critical process has to do with the storage drive, because right now, from what I can see, the graphics card is fine. We have HDMI running straight from the discrete card into our display. We don't have any artifacting or anything. The screen's not flickering on and off. I would say the 3090 is okay. The CPU, the motherboard, the RAM, I feel like those are probably okay as well, because we need those to be stable in order to get a picture like this. In order to boot into recovery mode at all, we need a stable platform. That's why I'm thinking it's a storage drive, because even without a storage drive, we could get into the BIOS no problem. We could tweak settings and whatnot, but it looks like the system had an issue the moment it tried to boot into the boot partition, which I'm assuming would be running Windows. BIOS can see the drive, so there is power getting to it. I just think the moment that it's tasked with anything really intensive, including loading Windows from scratch, that's when it decides to give up the ghost. I've also taken the time to monitor CPU and motherboard temperatures. Both seem to be very healthy in the mid-30s Celsius. I don't see any problems here. No reason why the system would be powering off thanks to a thermal issue. And same goes for the graphics card, though we can't monitor that in the BIOS. If the card was overheating, this would not be here. It would go black in a few seconds, just like it does when it tries to load into Windows. And to that end, you can see the fans in this card aren't even spinning right now, and that's because the card isn't under any load. This is totally normal. It doesn't mean that the fans are broken. It just means the card isn't very hot, which is to be expected while we're in the BIOS. So let's grab our handy dandy iFixit toolkit. This is not a sponsor, I just love this toolkit, and remove that M dot.
I will give iFixit some credit. Best screwdriver set, especially for phone repair. Actually, Walmart has a really good kit just like this, but iFixit is really good for all kinds of repair. Not really phone repair, but if you're going into phone repair, the Walmart one is really good. It's only like $10, but on the bad side, hold on to your britches there. Don't go off buying an iFixit repair kit, or whatever Walmart's tool brand is repair kit, because Frostline will be releasing its own screwdriver repair kit set down the line. So give it a couple months and it'll be out. So don't hold, just hold off for a couple of months. All right. Just go get that Walmart one for a little bit.
It does look as though it's sitting a bit oddly underneath this heat slab. I think, yeah, it's not even fastened down. In fact, I literally just pulled it out. As you can see, it's just resting against the thermal pad underneath. You can also get a sense from this angle just how warped the drive itself is. Now, these are subject to some bending depending on how they're fastened. It shouldn't be this bad though. And you can see just how much more curved the drive is on this side compared to here, where it's actually slotted into the motherboard. You can see the golden fingers there with the key. So just yeah, first impressions, it's possible that one or more memory chips on this drive has been partially deballed. I mean, look, just to give you a sense of how bent this drive is, I bet you I can stand it up. Look at that. Yeah, on its side. It should not be doing that. Like, these are supposed to be perfectly flat, and this thing's actually standing up sideways because it is so bent. Now, what do I mean by deballed? Well, on the backs of some chips, we have these like hemispherical looking balls of solder, and these actually have to make contact with pads on the other sides of certain substrates. So on a much smaller scale, and I have no idea why I chose the floor for this scene, we'll just roll with it. We have the base of the storage drive in question here, and you can see we have these small little pads of solder. These are outlined with black Sharpie along the top side of the board, and then we have these memory chips with these ball-shaped solder points. That's why we call it BGA, or ball grid array, that we use special machines to solder to those pads on that main board. Now, what happens when a component is stressed, maybe it's bent left or right, or maybe it sags over time, as is the case for a lot of modern graphics cards today, whose GPUs are usually using the ball grid array, you get a lot of these small little breaks in solder between the balls and the pads underneath. And what that means is you no longer have a stable memory chip, or in the case of a graphics card, a stable graphics chip. That can cause artifacting, it can cause power loss, it can cause blue screens of death like we saw with the drive. I have a pretty good feeling that is what's happening here. There's just too much stress in the bending of that M.2 between the memory chip and the substrate underneath. So here's my plan of attack moving forward. I was told early on that there are sensitive documents on this drive. There are some PDFs.
See, going back to what I was saying, you could just reinstall Windows. Now in this situation, that likely won't fix it, because the NVMe, it's bent, and was explained what he had explained. The chips could be deballed and causing it to have a loss of contact with the chipset, and that's a problem. I mean, you never want to put too much stress down on your SSDs or hard drives. Whatever you have to screw to the motherboard, finger tight. The rule is finger tight. You know, you don't want to have it any tighter than that. You don't want it to have play, but just make it finger tight. You know, don't try to over torque it. This isn't a set of ball joints on a fucking Civic. You know, you don't need a ugga dugga dugga. No, I hope no one's ever actually tried that. I'm being facetious, but yeah, that can definitely happen. Especially if this is a different route to go. If the customer or client you're working with says, hey, that has really critical files on it, try to see if there's a way that, you know, if it's not a Windows reinstall, if they do understand what they're talking about. But if they tell you there's critical documents on it, typically let me do some more respect to, what's this guy's name again? A little more respect to Greg here by not making his face look weird when pausing it. When they say that, you know, that has critical files on it, I don't want to lose any files. You typically want to check to make sure you don't want to hop straight to reinstalling Windows. That would typically be on a brand new machine. If someone brought you a brand new machine, hey, I just built it and it's giving me this issue, you might want to check and reinstall Windows as a first step, because reinstalling Windows typically only takes like an hour and a half if you're really struggling to get through the setup process, but it's not hard. But I've actually never seen a problem like this before, so we're both learning a little bit here. And my headphones just died. You guys see that red light? I was turning back on. Give me just a moment. The charger's down. It's hung off the desk down here. It's right here. And then yeah, let's keep going. Give me just a moment. Let's get back into this.
Want to lose, as well as some family photos. And anytime I hear anything like that about a drive that we figure out is either on its way out or fully defective from the start, I set it aside and I wash my hands of it. I don't want to touch it anymore for risk of actually permanently losing those files. It's not that I don't trust myself to, say, connect this drive to a working machine, maybe run a smart test, some sort of diag that'll tell us what specifically is wrong with the drive in question. I just don't want to risk any of those sensitive files being overwritten or permanently deleted in any way while it is in my possession. I don't want that liability, and I'm not a data recovery specialist. I won't pretend to be. I'll always defer to the experts when it comes to things that I know very little about. I'm gonna give him a replacement drive. We're gonna reinstall Windows on that. Hopefully, if he reaches out to a data recovery specialist, he can have those files that are sensitive pulled from it. He can transfer those to this new, fresh Windows install, and he can resume life as normal. I've got a very nice Corsair MP600 Gen 4 NVMe here that is very similar in speeds to his Samsung 980 Pro. It's also the exact same capacity, 1 terabyte, so he's not losing anything there. So we're gonna take the heatsink off of this, install the drive into his machine, install a fresh version of Windows, and hope that we don't see another critical process died, BSOD. I've temporarily disconnected his 2 terabyte SATA SSD, which I believe he uses for game storage and the like. We don't want connected here while we install Windows, just to prevent some boot issues in the future. You can see we have a totally blank 1 terabyte NVMe here, and we are going to attempt to install Windows. I don't suspect this time we'll see that critical process died error. I think we'll have a very smooth experience again. As you'd expect, the system now loads extremely fast into a fresh, bare bones copy of Windows 11. That, of course, is on the replacement drive, and it's also fast thanks to the Gen 4 speeds of said drive. That doesn't hurt at all. It is a bit of a shame that the 980 Pro doesn't seem to want to work anymore. Again, as far as I can tell from what I've done in the BIOS, there's no way in software, at least on the BIOS side, to get this drive to be detected and to get it to actually load into Windows. The moment that it wants to, it just completely craps itself. And then normally it would be kind of a toss-up, okay, maybe the drive is physically bad, or maybe the boot partition is corrupted somehow. But since I see just how bent this drive is, I'm willing to err on the side of it being physically defective. And again, that's why I don't want to touch it.
See, he points out what we had originally pointed out at the start. It could possibly, most likely, just be an issue with a corrupted boot file. But after, visually inspecting the SSD, which is usually step one to troubleshooting a boot issue, visually inspect hardware, noticing that there was a defective issue there, like it was warped. That shit was bent. And so he went straight to just replacing it and setting that aside, letting the customer know, hey, you're going to need to get in contact with some recovery specialists. This drive is destroyed. Well, not really destroyed, but you're going to need to figure out some way to repair it. We do repair GPUs, by the way. We repair thermal paste on GPUs, thermal pads. We fix burnt and bent pins in them, fan header bent fan header pins, just whatever. Mainly surface level GPU things that most people aren't comfortable repairing. But he makes a good point here.
There are a few other housekeeping things to take care of before we wrap this video up. I'm going to clean up cable management behind the motherboard tray. I did learn that
Alright, that'll be it for today's video, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Leave a follow if you enjoyed. Oh wait, did I say follow? This is not a live stream. Well, if you are watching on Twitch or on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you enjoy, and go ahead and hit that notification bell. Share us with your friends. Share us with your neighbors, your family, anyone that needs any kind of tech repairs. Did you crack your phone screen? Well, we got you. We can repair that for you. We're actually have a 50% off sale right now, all through up until the next year. We'll be doing 50% off phone screen repair replacements, battery replacements in phones, and basic computer maintenance. Anything that doesn't require diagnostic, like if you bring it to us for driver updates, bring it to us for repasting, things that is just basic maintenance. If you ever need that, it's 50% off. Diagnostics is exclusive of that sale. Diagnostics start at a $25 deposit, and I think it's like right now we are charging $35 an hour per hour of diagnostic time. Now we do have a sale on that. We do have courtesy discounts. Come and speak with us about that when you schedule your appointment. We have no problem doing that. Y'all have a great night, and thank y'all for watching.